Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Forbidden Land podcast. I bring you here in peace and serenity. Join me. Don't you feel at peace? I sure do. Alright, welcome to the Forbidden Land podcast. It's episode 61. I got a full doc here. The big major event from the weekend, which I'm going to act like it's totally not Monday morning right now. The big major event from the weekend were the Northern Lights. I'm just lighting a candle. Give me a minute. The Northern Lights, being visible across pretty much the entire Northern Hemisphere. If you live in the US at least, and Europe. Fuck you, Mexico. Apparently. So yeah. This candle always scares me. So yeah, Northern Lights. Did I get to see them? Hell no. I did not. My ass did not get to fucking see any Northern Lights. You know what I did get to see, though? I got to see Starlink for the first time. Now, look. I'm no Elon dick rider. I don't like Elon Musk. I think he's abhorrent. That should be very obvious if you've ever watched an episode of this podcast. I gotta say, though, it was kind of cool. Seeing the long line of them, just this long line of dots, like zooming across the sky at a speed that I've never seen anything move across the sky at before. Even planes don't really move that fast across the sky. I mean, it was just crazy. Usually if you see a satellite, it's by itself, it's super hard to see. Of course, as soon as I start, I have throat problems. It's really small. It's hard to see. You get kind of lucky if you see it. Going across... see what I mean? Going across the sky. But with Starlink, there's so many of them, you kind of have no choice but to fucking see it. So I thought that was really cool. I got to see that long line of Starlink satellites go across the sky. Am I a fan of Elon? No. Do I think Starlink is cool in concept? Yeah. I've never gotten to use it. I know my sister's boyfriend has it at his house, and she says it's good, but... And he's shown me the app. The app looks cool, but it's like, I don't know. I want to actually use it, and then I can give a judgment on whether or not it's good. But from what I've heard, it's not too bad. I might sound a little different this week, and that's not because of me. Although it's possible that it is. I found out that my mic settings were all fucked up. So my mic was actually turned down in my system settings for some reason. It turned it down by 10. So I was at 62 instead of 72. I usually set my mic around 72, and then I'll adjust the gain dial, to compensate in case I need to. But I was like, God, why are all my podcasts, all my videos, all my streams, why are they all so fucking quiet? And if you watch the latest Apex video that I uploaded on Saturday, I cranked that audio and I put a fat compressor on it. I was like, if you're going to hear this audio, I'd rather it be distorted than to be quiet. And I cranked that audio and I compressed it so it wouldn't blow your eardrums out. But it's a loud ass fucking video. I'm just getting sick of my videos being quiet. But as we all know, the podcast is notoriously quiet, and I have to crank it in the sound settings and put a fat compressor on it. I actually do have to do a lot of sound editing on the podcast, surprisingly enough. It'll be like me talking, normal level, and then I'll play a video. It sounds normal to me, and then it sounds like it's a fucking bomb going off in a neighborhood on the audio for the recording. And it's like, how did that even transpire? So yeah, that was my weekend. I didn't get to see the Aurora Borealis. We didn't even have a phone that was compatible to see it. I think people were like, you need to use night mode on your phone. Well, not everyone has a phone that came out in 2022, bitch. So none of our phones worked, or at least we thought that. We figured out that we did actually have a hold of one phone that might have had night mode, but it didn't matter. But I might have taken the L, but my mom got a cool photo. Shout out moms. Happy Mother's Day. Shout out the moms. She got a cool photo of it. I'll see if I can pull it up without doxing myself. She got a cool photo, and then my sister got a cool photo that I'm not going to show because I don't care. Can I even show her photo without doxing her? Ooh, not really. Here, I'll screenshot the sky and cut her house out. It looks like AI touched this photo up. That's crazy looking. Okay, here, I got the photo. I know everybody's... Oh, what is that? Is that part of the candle? I don't know. Part of the ash from the candle got on the monitor. No, this is my good monitor that I claim I use for editing, and I don't. Despite it being color accurate. Okay, I have the photo. Okay, nothing revealing. I don't want to have an incident like I did last episode. Okay, here's the photo that my mom got, cutting her house out. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. My sister arguably got the best photo I've seen of it. And that includes all the ones I've seen on social media. Hers is unedited, all that. And it's probably the best photo I've seen of the entire thing. And I'm still not going to show it. Because fuck you, and that's why. I just don't feel like sending it to myself and pulling it up. It's on my phone. I don't want to save it and pull it up. But anyways, alright, let's move on. I wanted to react to a couple videos because I thought they were funny, and then it turned into I actually have a lot of videos to react to, but I want to do the funny ones first. So we're gonna react to a couple videos. One of them's on Reddit, another one I downloaded off Reddit, and it's just like, oh my god, you're gonna love it. It's just insane. Like, how does someone sound like such a bitch? And it's so ironic the way it starts. I'll show. Warning, all footage was captured by professional storm chasers with 14 plus years of experience. Please do not attempt on your own. Now you might think like, oh, professional storm chasers. I don't know about y'all, but I have watched a lot of professional storm chasers. They're all super professional. They all conduct themselves like adults. There's another video on this subreddit from, I would assume, the same storm, unless this video is old. But I think it was a guy driving through the more recent storms in the Midwest. This tornado like ripped through a family's house, and he pulls up, sees that someone's hurt, and he's like, get in. And they're like, the mom is freaking out 'cause she's holding the child who's hurt and everything, but he's super professional about it, and he's really a good person to have in that situation. He's like, it's fine. Get in, just get everybody get in, get the dog if you need to, just get in. These guys, don't let this fool you. I don't think they've ever done this in their life, or at least 3 out of 4 of them have never done it. I think there might be one professional in this video, but once you see what happens to them in this video, you might not even think there's a single professional. in this video. This video is crazy.
Sweet please, Lord! Please! Please!
A little bit of a spoiler, don't you think? Anyway, that should give you a little preview.
There is massive hail in this thing.
So, you know,
we're going to be very close to hitting that. We'll be fine. We'll be okay.
Look at how, like, giddy they are. You know, these guys are taking it a little seriously. They have all the equipment. They look like they're pretty much set. But they aren't. I guess they didn't really catch the fact that a tornado was headed straight for them. The guys in the back are like, yo, it's going to be sick. And it's like, if you're that experienced, you probably shouldn't be that giddy about the situation that you're in. A lot of storm chasers act like they're mourning, like actively in the moment. And I think it's because they can see on their radar, like they're watching it tear through neighborhoods. And I think that's why they're usually so quiet. Or they're like, wow, that storm is insane. It's monstrous. And they're like very quiet in the videos. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a tornado. The tornado's on the ground right there.
Yeah, we are here, going south.
Going south.
This is going this way. We're not going to be
We can cut over.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yep, here you go. Oh, wow.
Okay.
So already they're making the judgment call of changing their position. And that's going to so fuck them over.
Tornado reported south of Lewistown. Intense cone tornado.
Nice and easy.
1 mile till we get to fields, 1 mile. So just up this valley and we should be able to see this tornado. Yeah, okay, here we go.
Is that it right there? Or wait, no, it's over here on the right. There's yeah, it's right here on the right. That's it right there on the right. That's it right there. Coming right at us. We are immediately.
So they're still going. And it's like at this point you could reasonably stop and just observe the tornado. Instead, they happen to stop in like the worst possible spot.
Downstream of it.
Keep on going.
Look at how sick that looks. That's horrifying. For a long time, I've been trying to find if there's any footage or photos of the tornado that hit us. I think it's because storm chasers don't really focus on Dixie Alley, and if they do, they're mainly in Alabama. I don't think there are many storm chasers in Georgia. I don't think there are many in Tennessee or the Carolinas. So there's like, what is happening in here? Am I having like a schizophrenic meltdown? But as a result, there's like never any footage or videos of this stuff near me. So I have no idea what it looked like. I felt it. I felt it slam into me, or into my house, but I never actually got to see it. It's also wild that I went outside like 2 minutes after it was done hitting our house. Like it was like eerily quiet, and I went, I'm gonna go outside. And I threw on a hoodie, I walked outside. I think I've told this story before. I don't know if I told the aftermath part, where I went outside and walked the neighborhood and asked people if they're okay, and there was like people's gutters in the trees, and one guy had a gutter like stuck in his rear driver's side tire on his pickup truck, and that was like crazy. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like it since. But like a piece of a gutter got lodged up in his back left tire, and I think it's just freaking me out that my closet is open. It's been open for 2 weeks. I don't know why I'm tripping. Okay, let's continue with this video.
It's gonna be left right here. This is the gravel road right here.
It's on the ground.
Okay, it's down.
It's down. We got a debris cloud.
Okay.
Oh, wow, my
gosh. Woo! Holy shit. What's going on?
We gotta go east.
Tanner, be cognizant. It's coming towards us.
Where are we going? East.
Do you go this way?
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta go. Okay, go down this road. Go, go. Straight, 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 straight.
Nice and easy, though. You gotta go, Riley, if you can, bro.
So at this point, they pretty much drive right into its path. Wow, that was a crazy ass lightning strike. But like, look at this. How do they not recognize that they're driving into its path? know it's coming. I'm laughing because I know it's coming. And I'm thinking of all the comments because, like, there's not a single one that's like, you could never imagine being in this situation. And it's like, actually, I do know how I reacted in that situation. With the possibility of my house being torn down by a massive weather event, what I did is I calmly picked my cat up, walked downstairs, got into the safest room in the house that we know of, that we've already designated as a tornado safe space in this house, walked in to the room with my sister. My parents were way too far behind by the time the tornado was starting to hit, so I shut the door. You know what I did? I just looked at my sister and reassured her. These guys, granted, I was in a house. These guys, though, it's crazy how they react to this. Here we go.
We're actually fine. It's gonna go straight. It's gonna go south.
We're actually
Now
fine.
we're going north.
Yep, and our escape route's north right now. And it's okay, Riley. It's okay. Our escape route's
These winds
north.
don't make it seem like it's okay right now.
I get it. I get it.
And what's crazy is that if they had just stopped the car at any point before the tornado hits them, if they had just stopped the car, up until a certain point, actually, I won't say till the tornado hits them. I don't know how big the tornado is. So it could be like literally, you know, like half a mile before it hits them. If they had stopped half a mile before that, then they would have been right on the edge of it. I mean, it could have been that. But even, you get what I'm saying.
Yep. Oh my gosh! Oh! Holy!
Lord Jesus, please protect us.
I don't remember that part. Oh my god.
Oh!
Fud. Get over.
Window up! Window up! Window up!
That's the other thing, is that the guy still has the window down trying to film.
Oh!
Fud. Get over.
Window up! Window up! Window up!
Stuck.
And they're all like yelling at him to put his window up.
Okay, we're okay. We're okay.
Dude, I don't know where that tornado is right now. I don't like this.
I don't like that either. Okay.
This guy then
Tornado's
rolls
right
the
next to
window
us, right
down.
here. Oh no. Okay.
For context, we were hit by a strong gust of wind ahead of the tornado, either inflow or SVC, or an SVC, not sure. Since we were trapped, we had to wait about a minute before being impacted by the tornado.
It's
Tornado's right next to us.
Oh
right
yeah,
here.
they are surrounded by
no.
power poles.
Oh no. Do we need to get down in the ditch?
Oh no. Tanner, do we need to get in the ditch, bro?
Dude, I think we do. No, calm down.
There's...
Holy shoot. Holy shoot. I don't like this.
Tanner, roll up your window.
Why do you still have the window down?
Roll up your window!
No, hold on. I'm looking.
So it's like there's one guy that's trying to keep everyone's composure in line, and then everyone else is freaking the fuck out. Oh shit.
I don't like this.
Listen to this.
Roll up your window!
No, hold on. I'm looking. It's gonna...
We are freaking in the tornado. This is literally what... Oh, God. This is terrible.
Thank you, Jesus, for protecting us in the name of Jesus.
Yeah, you're gonna hear this a lot in the video too, which I've never heard a storm chaser do this before, where they're like rapid firing off prayer. I've never heard that, and people in the comments are having the same reaction. I've never heard a storm chaser like spamming as much as they were about God. It's like unprecedented. And that's the kind of the start of it, is them being like, thank you, Jesus, for protecting me. And it's like, dude, the tornado hasn't even hit you yet.
Jesus, and I thank you that you're going to protect us right now. In the name of Jesus.
Please, dear Lord. Please, dear Lord. We are in it. Please, Lord. Please,
They're
Lord.
horrified.
Please, Lord.
To some extent, I don't really blame them for being that horrified, just because there are plenty of stories of storm chasers like getting lifted up in the tornado and thrown pretty much, and then getting killed by that. So I'm not like shocked that they're horrified. I'm more of just shocked at their reactions. The way that they're like basically on the verge of death with no dignity. Like, they survive, obviously. Spoiler alert, they don't die. Shocker, I'm not showing a death video on my podcast. But it's like... it's also like, how do you react after that? You know, there's a Rick and Morty episode where Rick and Summer are going to different planets, and the planets, there's 3 of them, and they're all like having apocalyptic world-ending events at the same time. I keep hearing stuff in my left ear. That's weird. Anyway, I'm definitely having some... God, ow. I'm definitely having some kind of weird mental thing going on. I'm going to try to ignore it. But so, there's 3 planets, they're on the verge of a world-ending event. And on the 3rd planet, spoiler alert, but Summer gets pissed at Rick over Rick like breaking one of their rules. So she goes up and destroys the asteroid that's going to hit the 3rd planet, thus ending their apocalyptic event and saving the planet. Well, while the planet was ending, one guy is like fucking his dad at the like celebration. Well, because the planet was saved, they all survived, and so the post-credit scene of the episode is him coming into work, and he works with his dad. And just the tension, and like the mom still isn't talking to us because we had sex. With this, it's like you all live, and then you all just have that memory of screeching like fucking children. These guys all give off that vibe of like trust fund baby that is like, I want to have an adventurous 20s, and like this is what they chose, and they didn't take it seriously enough to like not be cowards during it, and also not make stupid decisions like they were. You can tell they were chasing the shot, and that's how they got stuck in the situation that they got stuck in, and it almost killed them. I mean, you'll see the car at the end of this, it almost kills them pretty much.
Dear God, please, Lord, dear Lord, please, in your Lord, please, please, help them, help them.
It's this guy. I just realized it's this guy. You can see his mouth moving. He's the one that's screaming, please. This is what I'm saying. This would have been like footage of the fucking year if it wasn't accompanied by screaming his ass off McGee over here going, please, please. Because look at how awesome this footage is. I think it's this guy. It is throwing around their car pretty decent though. It is a bit of a miracle that they didn't get killed in this, by the way. It's like, come on, man. Fucking suck it up. There's a Bill Burr bit about that, where the plane is experiencing turbulence, and there's a grown-ass man on the plane, like, screeching. And Bill is like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he's like, there's somebody that's going to reproduce with that and create more of those screamers on flights with turbulence. It's such a good bit. I love Bill Burr, dude. It's such a good bit. Also, I think their back windshield got taken out. Did it destroy their camera? Is that what the windshield looks like through the lens? I can't tell. That or it's just dirty, because I know they're all like covered in dirt after.
Please be done! Please! Oh! Oh!
Did they just roll?
Please! Oh!
Oh yeah, I guess they did. They just rolled. That or something like rolled over them.
Please have it be done! Please have it be done! Please! Lord! This is gonna end! It's done! Please, Lord, have it be done! Please, God! Please, God!
Christ. So,
Hey guys, the tornado's gone. We need to figure out how we're gonna be safe. Come on.
you are
We have to
safe
be
now.
proactive
Like,
okay?
be real. You're fine now.
Figure this out together.
There is glass everywhere.
I'm in a very understand.
Hey, most important is that we're alive.
Yeah.
Dude, this is, oh my god, this is literally stop. This is the worst thing, man.
I don't mind the crying. Like don't get me wrong, I don't mind being horrified in this situation. That's understandable. The guy crying is an understandable reaction. I'm talking about the please, please. The guy screaming in the passenger seat is so embarrassing. And there's another aspect to this as well. As I've been, yeah, look at how ravaged that car is. Fuck, dude. Shit. Look at that shit. Oh my god. As I've made it very clear on here before, I used to be a Christian. I used to be very religious. Not very. I used to be religious for a short time of my life. And I always found it very telling of people's character when they would immediately call for prayer when they were in danger. Because part of being a Christian is that you know, pray all the time, and in every situation you know, basically trust God and his plan. And it's usually not a good sign when your life is immediately put in danger and your first reaction is to start pleading with God for help. Like, if you're a regular religious person and it's not just like a front, then you wouldn't be doing that in that scenario. You might like silently pray to yourself, but at least you're keeping it consistent. If your immediate instinct is to immediately start begging God for mercy, a lot of religious people who follow the Bible pretty closely, and have actually read the fucking thing, usually I think they frown upon only praying when you need it, and not praying when others might need it, or not praying when nobody needs it. You just want to talk. That's just the religious aspect that I was thinking about. Because a lot of people were pointing out how it's not just the screeching, it's also like the incessant plea for a god to help. And it's like, who do you think sent the tornado, dude? You know, you can't have it one way or the other. You can't be like, oh, he protected me from this storm. It's like, well, how do you think the storm got there in the first place by your logic? I don't know. That's just like some classic Reddit atheism arguments right there that I just thought was interesting to mention. But I mean, you already heard my 2 cents about it. I used to be religious, so I always find it a little telling of people's religious dedication when they only pray like this in situations where their life is in imminent danger. All right, let's get this show on the move on. Let's get this show on the road. You get it. They almost died. That guy's a fucking wuss. Yeah, top comment is, I'm trying to consider my own composure in that situation, but I think I'd be screaming for that guy to shut the fuck up. Bad for morale, you know. Beat his ass until morale approves. That's funny. If you're about to die, this is not what you want your last moments to look like. One person said, come on, man, have some respect for yourself. You knew the risks. Yeah. I think that's my whole point. Is how do you even keep going with your friends after? I feel like your friends would look at you different after that, right? I'd be definitely looking at my friend a little different after that. I'd be like, dude, what the hell is fucking wrong with you? Now I know if me and him were ever in a, dire situation, instead of like toughen up and having the courage to get through it, he just fucking cowers in fear and screams like a little baby. And it's like, damn, dude, this is how I'm gonna die next to the world's loudest motherfucker. Alright. Enough about that. I want to talk about this police chase. What's wrong with the clip? Oh, Lord of mercy. What's up with this clip? It's not showing up in VLC player. Oh, that's so weird. And it's like barely buffering in the Windows Movie and TV. Yeah, look at this. What the hell am I looking at right now? Alright, let me go get the post. I have the post. It's also on Reddit, so it's not going to be very hard to find. Alright. Let's see. Alright, hold on. We're getting there. We're gonna get it. I can feel it. I can smell it. It's close. Found it. It's weird. I downloaded the video and it just didn't fucking work. So this video is insane. And you're gonna have to pay attention to like the first second because it starts off strong. But there's so many things wrong with this video. And I almost wonder if there's gonna be consequences for the police in it. It happened a week ago, according to the timestamp on the camera. I wonder if there's going to be repercussions for this, because the recklessness of this, I mean, that guy have better been on the run for assassinating a high-level world leader, because, my God, they definitely risked a lot of people's lives doing this. So, just get ready. Boom, right off the bat. Bro fucking slams them. Insane, unprecedented. Usually you see them go last resort with that. I mean, that dude just immediately pulled out the fuck it. And I don't know what was leading up to this crash. It looks like the car already had a pretty decent amount of damage on it. Or maybe it doesn't. Never mind. So this is the first time they hit it, I guess? Shit. And they keep going, too. I mean, kudos to this Hyundai driver. I mean, this is a good ad for the shittiest car brand on earth. Because, I mean, shit, dude. Let's say I accidentally deploy the airbags. This thing can still keep going for a long time. So, he hits them and then gets out. And it's like, dude, be aware of your surroundings. This guy attempts to hit them. He's now up on the sidewalk. Here he is. He's back. Now we're looking for another perspective. Like I said, guys zooming through traffic. It's like this, and he's also swerving a lot. You'll notice some of the cops are driving kind of weird, and it's like once you've made contact with the vehicle, put that shit in park and remove yourself from the situation. It's why like cops who pit maneuver cars and then get fucking slammed in their car are usually advised by other police on the scene to just disengage and sit it out. Like, sit out the last bit, because you can tell there's something wrong. I mean, they were just in a car accident. So this dude... this dude's crazy. Swerves into a parking lot. Barely makes it. You know, this car rear ends him. This cop barely misses that SUV. He then barely swerves around these two guys. Comes up, kind of like love taps the car. And it's like, that shouldn't have done anything to him, right? you would think like, oh, all the other cops took heavy impacts. They're just fine. This guy, you know, like sideswipes him pretty much. And apparently it like turned him into a moron because I think it like shaved his brain in half because boom, just recklessly hits a pickup truck, almost takes out another patrol car, and then he decides to stop. And it's like, how do you even manage to do that? There's so much shit going on in this video. Someone brought up the truck too, and they're like, either this guy's gonna have to pay for it or he's gonna sue the city for negligence because, like, how do you explain this officer who's apparently well trained to do this hitting a parked pickup and then almost taking out his colleague? Here we go. I believe this is the last bit of the encounter. Like I said, this guy better have committed a fucking high-class felony against like a sitting U.S. senator. Because if it's like shoplifting, you gotta be fucking kidding, right? So then he hits the tree and the chase is over. It cuts to another cop who smushes their car into the tree, which I just think is funny. But that better have been for like a serious high crime. Because what the hell? I gotta know more about this. People are talking about the police shorts. That's pretty funny. Where? Okay, but I need to know why they were doing this. Both have a history with stolen cars. Ah. But like, both teens are being held in juvenile detention until their next year. They're juveniles? They stole the cars and they were on the run. I feel like that's not worth almost killing half the city. This is in Columbus too. Am I wrong for that? To think that like you shouldn't be chasing them to that extreme degree? Be a little bit more tactical with it. It's Columbus, Ohio. Don't they have funding there? Like, get a police chopper and just follow them. That's what a lot of police departments do. I don't know. I just feel like too many people almost, you know, ended up in a bad situation in that video. Yeah, those were the two Reddit clips I wanted to watch. Now let's sit back and relax, because you're going to want to sit back and relax for this part. So let's move on to a Republican and a Democrat. Both just not only being on the same side of an issue, but also just being incredibly unhinged. Let me pull this up. So, Lindsey Graham went on Meet the Press and basically argued that because the U.S. nuked Japan, that justifies Israel dropping a nuke on the Gaza Strip, and that we should supply them with those nukes. I think this dude's hitting that dementia age. I think he's there. I mean, look at how bad he looks. My mental image of him is still what he looked like when he was in the Senate during the Obama administration. I used to have a better Lindsey Graham impression, but I forgot it because who cares about him? But my mental image is him 8 years ago, not him now. But also, I think he's just hitting that dementia pack.
So when we were faced with destruction as a nation after Pearl Harbor, fighting the Germans and the Japanese, we decided to end the war by bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
So let me just add, this is such a gross oversimplification of it. Our nation was never really at threat of being destroyed by this point in the war. Germany had already surrendered, and the Japanese were clearly losing, and yeah, eventually we would have probably either come to a ceasefire agreement, or we would have just fought them so hard that we would have killed all of them, to the point where their military would have just been useless. And there's been a lot of studies and papers and documents all supporting that we didn't really have to drop those nukes. They were more so dropped to like show the world that we had the capability of nuking a country and that we weren't afraid to, which obviously we're afraid to. But of course Lindsey Graham thinks it was an absolute necessity that we had to bomb Japan, and also is kind of condensing the timeline that Pearl Harbor, Germany, Japan, nukes, it's like all that happened within like a 4-month period is what he makes it sound like. And it's like, no, this was a multi-year period. Pearl Harbor happened. We, declared war. A year or two of fighting later, Germany's already out of the war by the time we dropped the bombs. Yada, yada, yada. There's a really good video about this. Oh, God, who's it by? I think it's by Sean, that guy with the skull picture. He has a really good essay about the bombs and if they were necessary to end the war.
Nagasaki with nuclear weapons. That was the right decision. Give Israel the bombs they need to end the war they can't afford to lose.
So there you go. That's him implying that the bombs they need are nukes.
And work with them to minimize casualties. Well, can I say this? Why is it okay for America to drop 2 nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
Look at how crazy he gets at the end.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war. Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel.
Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. A lot of people would argue it wasn't okay. A lot of people would argue that it was actually a gross humanitarian violation. And, I mean, I'm inclined to agree that it is a bad decision to do. I've always been pretty anti dropping the nukes on Japan. Like, we really shouldn't have done that. And it really kind of marked America as being like the hub of death, Like, we brought death and destruction to 2 major, or just 2 big cities in Japan. And, we showed that we had the capability to just annihilate an entire city population in an evening. So I don't know if I would say it was okay.
Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
And he's got to hit the Jewish state thing as if as if us being pro-Palestinian necessarily means we don't like the idea of a Jewish state. It's like, that's not the problem we have with Israel. The problem we have with Israel is that they actively put Jewish people in danger by involving themselves in multiple wars because the government is so greedy for land and more territory and ethnically cleansing the surrounding areas that they, I want to say unintentionally, but I don't think the government up there cares. They probably know it's gonna happen, but I'll say they unintentionally put lots of Jewish people in harm's way by involving them in wars that they shouldn't be fighting in the first place. Think about how safe Jews would be in Israel if Israel didn't occupy the West Bank and Gaza and didn't have an ongoing conflict with Lebanon and didn't provoke Iran and didn't try to claim the Golan Heights from Syria. Imagine if they didn't pick beef with all the surrounding countries, all of which now have, the desire to attack Israel. Imagine that. Imagine if that country if Israel just didn't provoke all the surrounding nations. You know, imagine. Crazy. Whoa. So let's move on to what I've found to be one of the most, same news channel, by the way, what I've found to be one of the most annoying liberals I think I've ever had the misfortune of listening to. What you're about to witness might be a YouTube community guidelines violation. I mean, the Olympic amount of dick writing that Joe does in this on Morning Joe, the amount of Olympic level competitive dick writing this man does of Hillary Clinton and the Bill Clinton administration. I mean, shit, dude, that better be some of the best peen you've ever gotten, Joe. This man loves the Democrats, specifically people like Clinton. War criminals. What? I think the reason why he acts like this, by the way, is because he knows Joe Biden is watching. It's like when Fox and Friends were aware that Trump was watching from the White House, so they would kind of like, you know, sneak stories into their morning show because they know Trump would see it. Like when they skewed and manipulated that story about the that, I forget the name of it, that the massacre that happened in this town square in Iraq because a mercenary company that the U.S. government hired named like Blackwater or something like that went into this town square and like shot and murdered like multiple people, multiple innocent people, all because they were trigger happy. And they put those guys in prison. Well, on the morning show, they were like, these brave, patriotic Americans who were fighting terrorists were locked up by the Obama administration. And so Trump pardoned them shortly after that. You know, I think it's like that for this guy. He knows Biden's watching Morning Joe. And now look, this clip is 9 minutes long. He has Hillary Clinton on. He wants to ask her a question. And I want you to look at how long it takes him to actually ask and let her answer his goddamn question.
I'm about to talk to you about happened before October 7th. I'm going to talk about radicalism on college campuses. Sort of radicalism that has mainstream students getting propaganda, whether it's from their professors or...
What is mainstream students? Now, you're going to hear this throughout this entire monologue. Words that don't make any sense to people like you and me, and make a little bit more sense to people that are like 20 years older than you and me, but still don't make a whole lot of cohesive sense. It's a lot of buzzwords used by liberal news media, you know, to make you think like, oh, this is the normal stance. And if you think like these youngsters do, you're a radical and should be stopped.
Students getting propaganda, whether it's from their professors or whether it's from communist Chinese government through TikTok.
Yeah, there you go. They think us being pro-Palestinian is because we're getting all of our info from communist China TikTok, that the Chinese government is feeding us propaganda and lies about the plight in Gaza. That, you know what, actually 40,000 innocent people being bombed and killed. Oh, you feel bad about that? Oh, you must be listening to that Chinese propaganda. Didn't you hear? The American stance is that that's actually pretty chill. But like Hamas, like that's pretty much what this guy is saying.
Calling the President of the United States Genocide Joe. Calling you and President Clinton war criminals.
That's because they are. I don't know too much about Bill, but Hillary was the Secretary of State during Obama's first term. And she's a fucking war criminal, dude. She was also in the Senate during the Iraq War. So, like, she's a war criminal, dude. Come on.
Actually stopping the naming of a building after Madeleine Albright.
Oh, what a tragedy. The name he just said, by the way, is another war criminal, by the way, who is on record. She's dead now. But back then, she was on record basically being like, we have to ally with nations that commit war crimes because they're our allies. Because we're fighting Iraq, dude. Or like, we're fighting Iran. Or, oh, well, you know, they're fighting people we don't like. Oh, they're using just as horribly evil tactics as our enemies. And they're also committing atrocities. Yeah, but like, they're our allies, namely Israel. You know, Israel was one of those countries that, you know, they were actively killing Palestinians. And she was basically like, yeah, but they're our ally. We need them in the region. So she's just another war criminal. Great buddies, apparently, with these guys.
Because they claim, professors claim, some of the same professors that took part in the most radical elements of the protests over the past couple of weeks, called Madeleine Albright a war criminal. And we're still waiting for the building for Foreign Service to be renamed after Madeleine Albright. Here we have first Secretary of State that's a woman. Made history, just like you made history.
I love the industrial violent feminism. There's, I'm sure you've heard the term before, but there's something, what's it called? I've always called it liberal feminism, where unlike normal feminism, it basically is like, it's like Kamala Harris being the first woman vice president. Like, yay, she's the first woman, but like, she's still a liberal, like, capitalist, imperialist, like, mouthpiece for whatever Joe Biden wants. I mean, how much have you heard from Kamala Harris? How many times have you actually seen a speech of hers? Ever since the Do Not Come incident, I haven't really ever seen her on TV since. Like, oh, big whoop for the feminists, I guess. Like, where's your woman VP? I don't see her anymore. Like, how is that at all helpful for us? Or like Ruth Bader Ginsburg being a woman on the Supreme Court, but like, she was racist. So like, it's basically this like, and I forget what it's called. It's like industrial feminism or something like that. Like, yes, she was the first woman Secretary of State, but also she was a war criminal. So it's like the classic, oh, when the Republicans send missiles, they just look like missiles, but then the Democrats send a missile over at a innocent person's house in the Middle East, and but it has a gay pride flag on it. It's like that. It's the fake, progressivism that's, covering up the conservative values underneath.
But you've got mainstream college students. I know, because
mainstream college students.
I've talked to a lot of college students over the past year or two, and they have this radicalized view of the Middle East, a radicalized view of American public servants like yourself, Madeleine Albright, President Clinton, Joe Biden, can name Republican presidents as well. And there's this radicalization. And I just want to know, first of all, it's distressing. What do we do about it?
So I don't know what his point is here. College campuses have always been a ripe hub for protesting movements that the mainstream media is complicit in continuing. Like they were pushing for their universities to divest funds from countries or from organizations that supported countries like apartheid South Africa, or like protesting universities during the war in Vietnam. This is a very like regular thing. This has been happening throughout all of history, at least in recent memory, as far as I'm aware. But college campuses have always been a ripe hub for protest against things that the government are participating in, or things that corporations have their fingers in. And this is no different. I mean, this is like almost an exact recreation of the Vietnam War protests, the encampment stuff. So, it tells you where these guys would have been at in the 70s during the Vietnam War, like what their stances would have been. And also what their stances would have been in the 90s during apartheid South Africa. So just keep that in mind when he's going on this rant. And, just remember, it's the great tragedy that a fucking building is not being named after a war criminal. Oh, but she was the first woman Secretary of State, so we're going to ask the latest woman Secretary of State about it. It's like, what the hell does Hillary Clinton have to fucking do with this? You'll actually find out why he brought her on. It's just because she was within Bill Clinton's like vicinity during the Oslo Accords and whatnot.
About it. So public servants aren't taught that American leaders are war criminals.
Dude, look at how much he's like fucking short-circuiting. This is supposed to be like the liberal bastion network. And I mean, there's a reason why they fired that guy who was pro-Palestinian. I think his name was like Mehdi Hassan. I think that was his name. I mean, I guess he left, but it's like once he left, it's like this network immediately went back to their roots of being like neoliberal hell. I mean, this is just Fox News, the sequel.
I want to know, first of all, it's distressing. What do we do about it?
What do we do?
So public servants aren't taught that American leaders are war criminals.
Oh, wow. Okay, but would he not agree that George Bush is a war criminal? Would he not even go that far? It's like George Bush is objectively a war criminal by all definitions. Like, I get that he's never been tried in the international court, but like he can't. He can't be, because we would not allow it as a country. But it's like objectively, his actions, his decision making led to war crimes being committed under his administration. Realistically, almost any president in recent memory can be tried for war crimes. But, especially George Bush. I mean, I've always made the argument George Bush is, despite all the stuff that Trump did with Israel when he was in office, George Bush was objectively worse for Middle Eastern politics as a president, and worse overall. I mean, tanked our economy horribly, got us involved in two pretty much forever wars, that one of which ended like a decade ago and the other one ended a few years ago. But he also committed a shitload of war crimes. Would Joe admit that? Or would he actually defend Bush? Would he defend George Bush? I wonder if I've been saying Biden this whole time. Oh, that'd be hilarious if I've been saying Biden this whole time. But I wonder if he would defend Bush.
Joe Biden's not genocide Joe, quite the opposite. And secondly,
Joe Biden's, I know he likes to dismiss this stuff so fast, like it means nothing, but Joe Biden has been complicit in the Israel debacle these last few months. He's been so complicit. He's basically the final line of defense when all that spending gets passed. He's the leader of the Democratic Party. He's the fucking president. He's the one who approves the funding bills that funds all the weapons going into Israel. He has the power to veto, which at least delays the bill for a little bit. Being the leader of the Democratic Party, if he starts to veto this legislation and he starts to sway the moderate public opinion, then the Democratic Party will likely fall in line, thus not giving Congress the overruling veto power that it needs to get that funding passed. Joe Biden has a decent amount of leverage here, and he won't do anything about it. Him going, if they invade Rafah, we're not going to send them any more weapons. And then once they start invading Rafah, he pushes the goalpost and goes, oh, I meant like the Rafah city centers, Jack. We're still going to send them weapons. It's like you just said in that interview you weren't. And now you're going to push the goalpost? So it is absolutely justified to call him Genocide Joe.
Stupidity of the slogans that ignore all the history since 1948 about what the United
1948 this, 1948 that. What about 1948? And they bring this up a few times, but they're so vague with it. What about it? Are you talking about when the British came in and forcibly the British came in and allowed the Zionists to come with them and forcibly started removing Palestinians from Israel? I mean, what about 1948? If you're going to try to say that once Israel was formed in the 40s, then like that makes it like permanent. And oh, you're saying that Palestine was there prior and that there's thousands of years of manuscripts describing that region as Palestine? But 1948, when the UN decided, in England decided, we should rip all these people from their homes and put a state called Israel there and move in all these people into the region that aren't from there and kick all these people out. It's like, is that what we're trying to bring up with 1948? What are we doing here?
States has tried to do, about what you tried to do, about what President Clinton tried to do in bringing a two-state solution about. I remember when you talked about a two-state solution and it was considered radical. They couldn't believe, oh my God, Hillary Clinton actually is talking about a two-state solution. She hates Israel. And that,
you know what's hilarious is I'm actually a one-state solution guy. And I've discussed it before, and I don't know if John has changed his mind and has started agreeing with me or not. He might still be a two-stater. A two-state solution would be like the bare minimum that I would accept. And, you know, that way Palestine has its own sovereignty and can have its own standing army and its own government, just like any other country. My only issue with that is that then that opens up, you know, Israel putting a blockade on them or ordering sanctions, or the U.S. putting sanctions on Palestine. And, you know, it opens up the possibility for exploitation. I've said that there should be radical change to implement a one-state solution where the whole region, that whole landmass becomes Israel-Palestine. It absorbs the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, it desegregates everything, ends the apartheid regime, and there are civil rights enacted and reparations divvied out. And Israel rebuilds everything they've destroyed. That's like my best case scenario, Shining Hill solution. And, you know, civil rights protections and reparations, already they'd be farther ahead than America. America still has racial inequality because there's still economic inequality due to the lack of reparations when the slaves were freed. And that has generationally, and the civil rights movement and Jim Crow and all of that has rippled down the generational ladder to now where it's basically like the players at the Monopoly board starting like 50 turns after the other players had already started. And if Israel pays out reparations and does the civil rights part of it. They already have a lot of social safety nets in Israel. And so Palestinians would actually be almost given a better starting point from that point on than black people in America. Then America would really be behind, you know, which is embarrassing. But I'm a one-stater. I'm a one-stater because I want the Israeli government to, I want to force them to give protections to the people that they have tortured for decades and decades. And also it would eliminate the possibility of an outside nation putting sanctions on Palestinians. And in a way, it also gives protection to Israel, like Israelis, because, you know, then there can't be sanctions put on Israel because it would be harming Palestinians. You know, so like if an Arab nation decided to put sanctions on Israel, well, they would be harming Arabs as well. In that hypothetical scenario, you know, my one state solution is very sound, but it's also very like optimistic and hopeful, and I don't know if it's very realistic.
Now, that's been flipped to you're a war criminal, Madeleine Albright's a war criminal, Bill Clinton's a war criminal, Joe Biden. It's disgusting. And I want you to tell us what needs to be done, what you would hope would be done.
Here's the question.
One. Number two.
240, he asks the first question.
How do we get Madeleine Albright's name on that building? Because she's been slandered in death. She's been slandered in death. A public servant who escaped the Holocaust, gave her entire life to the United States of America, and has been slandered in death by extremists, I'm sorry, funded by Qatar. And number three, I told you we were moving past therapy session. And number three, maybe this will get on YouTube if the communist Chinese will allow it.
I stopped it too early.
Maybe this will get on YouTube if the communist Chinese will allow it to get on YouTube. Please tell any students watch.
First of all, that is so funny that he thinks the communist Chinese run YouTube. He thinks the communists control YouTube. Dude, liberals and conservatives are all the same. You know how we always say conservatives are all liberal, but liberals are all conservative. Look at the switch up. I mean, like Red Scare era talking points now in 2024, implying that the Chinese have control over what gets posted on YouTube, a Google-owned company. Google, which is one of the largest data collectors and sellers in the U.S., one of the largest corporations in the U.S., actively collecting and selling your private data. Not at all a leftist bastion or a communist company. Very capitalist. Very lib. Sorry, I'm like itching over here. I think there's a mosquito in here, oddly enough. But like, think about that. This man just called a Google-owned subsidiary YouTube a communist-owned site. All because you can post pretty much whatever you want, unless you're saying slurs or bullying somebody. Or both. You know, it's like the fact that pro-Palestine content can be posted on YouTube, that bothers this man so much he thinks communists run the site. Hilarious.
What President Clinton and you,
liberal, by the way,
put together in 2000 in the Oslo Accords. You gave the Palestinians a pathway to peace.
Here he is, fucking dick riding the shit out of her husband, Bill Clinton.
And they were scared to take it because they knew they would be slaughtered by Hamas.
Wow. So not only is this super ahistorical, so if you're wondering why the Palestinians didn't agree to the Oslo Accords, or to the offer that they were given by Clinton, was because of the way that the deal was set up. Israel wanted Jerusalem, and the guy representing, forget his name, the guy representing the Palestinians was like, I do not have the authority to give you Jerusalem. And he was like, I will actually be killed if I give you Jerusalem, or, you know, whatever part of Jerusalem that the Palestinians occupied. So this just ahistorical retelling of events. Hamas was going to murder this guy if he took this deal. It's like, well, Israel was asking for very unreasonable demands. They wanted occupied Jerusalem, which he did not have the power to give them. It's like a classic when McIntosh gave up Native American land to the colonial settlers in Georgia. Then his tribe was like, what the fuck, dude? And they pretty much killed him. And like, dude, Georgia loves to dick ride McIntosh. There's schools named after that motherfucker. There's a county named after that motherfucker, I'm pretty sure. And it's all because he gave us their land. It's all because he complied with the US's like violent demands. Anyways, a little side tangent.
Wow, I don't know where to start, Joe.
Yeah, she gets to finally speak at 3:39.
Go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
I need help.
Well, I want to make a couple of quick points because you raised, things that, need to be vented about. First of all, I have had many conversations, as you have had, with a lot of young people over the last many months now. And you're right. They don't know very much at all about the history of the Middle East or, frankly, about history in many.
Just keep in mind, young people who all have phones and access to the internet, and if they're on college campuses and they have access to textbooks, a lot of them are probably like poli-sci majors or history majors, or have taken a class at some point that they've learned about this kind of stuff and had access to that kind of knowledge. All these young people who like know this shit, even if you don't know it, you still don't need the entire fucking history of a region to understand why indiscriminately bombing and killing 40,000 innocent civilians is wrong. You don't need the whole history of the region to understand that concept. You know, whoa. Oh, it's just the coat hanger moving. Yeah, you don't need all that context to understand why the ruthless slaughter of 40,000 people is a wrong thing to do. What an American thing to say, by the way. The fact that America even opens its mouth when we've committed our own genocide against the Native American people here, done our own version of the Nakba, treated Native Americans like pure trash, all the way up until fairly recently when we've lightened up just a little bit on our treatment of them. Allowed a few of them in the government here and there, allowed them to stay on their reservations to some extent, but we still don't treat them very well. We still neglect them. You know. The fact that Americans speak at all on this topic on the side of Israel is so interesting, because we've done everything Israel's doing. We've already done it. We've got away with it, dog. Because we did it in an era where, I mean, you were getting your news from like a guy on a horse delivering 2 weeks ago's paper. I mean, that's pretty much how you got your news back then. And also, a lot of people back then didn't really care.
Areas of the world, including in our own country. But with respect to the Middle East...
It's also so condescending to do that. Young people just don't know their history. I mean, they're just all fucking stupid. And they just don't get it. Like I said, college students, the most educated among us pretty much by definition, because they've all read the textbooks, they've all done their research, they know how to do their research, they've basically been taught in college how to professionally do research, to write papers on stuff. I mean, what do you think their degree is for? They're going there to specialize in something. They have to know how to research things. I mean, it's just so arrogant and condescending to assume that these people don't know what they're talking about. But like I've already said, you don't need to know all this stuff to be a human being about this conflict. You know, to be, reasonably understanding that this isn't right.
They don't know that under the bringing together of the Israelis and the Palestinians by my husband, the then Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak, the then head of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, then the Palestinian Authority, Yasser Arafat. An offer was made to the Palestinians for a state on 96% of the existing territory occupied by the Palestinians, with 4% of Israel to be given to reach 100% of the amount of territory that was hoped for. And this offer was made. And if
listen to how she doesn't bring up the Jerusalem part. Doesn't mention once that they wanted occupied Jerusalem. And they were like, we aren't doing that. You're nuts. And listen how they wanted to take even more Palestinian land during some kind of peace agreement. It's like, yeah, we'll let you have your land, but we want 4% more of it after we've already taken so much of it. Look at the 60s borders. Compare it to now. We did that in history class when I was in high school. They showed us maps. It's really weird, actually, how the Georgia public school system is like one of the few in the South that does get a little controversial in the classroom. Controversial in the fact that it shows you the real facts sometimes, like when it comes to slavery and all that stuff. And they showed us maps of Israel in class, and like back when it was Palestine, and then they gave up the UN resolution map, and then the new borders in the 60s, and then the new borders after multiple invasions and wars. It's like they just showed how much land was being absorbed by Israel. And even then, at the time we were all like, that doesn't seem very fair and right. And they didn't frame it very pro-Israel either. I mean, they framed it in a way of like, here's who provoked who, and here's why it's like this. Anyways, I'm done with this clip. I mean, it's just more and more of her spewing State Department propaganda. She ran the State Department, so anything that comes out of her mouth, it's State Department propaganda. She's a war criminal. She ran the State Department for about 4 years, and she almost became our first woman president and fumbled it because she's just that horrible. I've considered my position. Do I think she lost some of the vote because a decent amount of Democrats are just that misogynistic? To some extent. Do I think she also just straight up lost the election because she was just that much of a shitty candidate? More than likely. So yeah, just Morning Joe absolutely losing his shit. Did he keep going after that, by the way, or did he just let Hillary run her mouth for the rest of the segment? Oh yeah, so while she's like talking too, I'm gonna mute it because I don't want to hear her ass. While she's talking, just like watch his stance. I mean, look at this shit, dude. Man has the arms crossed.
Yes, she exemplifies what
I think she even starts like dick riding Morning Joe a little bit.
She demonstrates what a great refuge America
has
been
seething.
For people seeking freedom. And heaven forbid,
I gotta
if
put her
we
fucking
don't
name on that building.
This democracy, this Constitution, our values, our institutions, against false narratives, against demagogic wannabe authoritarian leaders, shame on us.
Anyways, dude, Democrats are such fucking hypocrites. Real quick before I end the episode, I wanted to show this because Hassan was watching the same Morning Joe clip that we just watched, and I wanted to show what he said about Joe gassing Hillary Clinton's ass.
That is 4 minutes of sloppy toppy gawk guac 3000 Suckmaster 11 that you just saw from Joe Scarborough. Holy dude, that boy could suck the chrome out of the tailpipe. He's got a mouth that won't quit. He's got the spirit, dude. Hillary getting back at Bill with this incredible amount of public dome that she's receiving. Maybe not in the Oval Office, but at least in front of many, many Americans on Morning Joe, including certified throat goat. It's looking like the Oral Office right now. Joe would put Nancy Reagan to shame. That is.
Anyways, I just wanted to show that. Thanks. I was thinking about this earlier. Because, you know, like Democrats, you know, the whole like, oh, we got to save democracy. Oh, we got to save democracy. And it's like, when have y'all ever put any effort into a voting rights bill that protects voting rights even further than they're already protected? Closing all these loopholes. Making it where voting is a national holiday. That way people can take off work. Making it easier for people to vote. Outlawing voter ID laws. You know. You shouldn't need a driver's license or an ID to vote. I mean, fuck it. You could even do a social security check. If you know your social security number, that's how we verify your identity. There you go. It's like opening a bank account. You know. You show up to vote, you give us your literally your chain code. If you watch Star Wars, there you go. Your chain code. Give them your fucking identification number, and then boom, you can vote. I mean, there you go. Easy as that, if you really want to get down to it. Because everyone's got a social security number if you're a citizen. If you're a citizen, you have the social. You probably have the card. You know. If you don't, then you probably have it written down somewhere. That's what I'm saying. It's like the best way to verify people's identities if you're really worried about that. If you're really worried about the small, minuscule amount of voter fraud that happens in this country. That's so small, it's not even like quantifiably calculated. I mean, it's like a number so tiny, you wouldn't even bat an eye at it if it was any other statistic. It's like a 1,000th of a percent, which is like immeasurably small. I mean, it's measurable, but you get what I'm saying. But I was having this thought earlier where I was like, God, dude, voting for Joe Biden again? Because, like, think of all the stuff that's going on right now under the Biden administration. You know, Israel is still bombing Gaza. Wow, that's nothing like different, you know. You know, they'd be doing that with even more confidence and firepower under Trump. The police going in and like mass arresting protesters on college campuses. I mean, you know, people during the George Floyd protests were saying, you know, this wouldn't happen under a Democrat president when like the National Guards and whatnot were going in and arresting people en masse, or the people that were being like kidnapped in federal vans by federal agents. Vans that had like no markings on them and all that. You know, everybody's like, oh, that wouldn't happen under a Democrat. And it's happening. In a Democrat-run city, in a Democrat state, you know, California, LA, in a Democrat-run country, it's happening. And, you know, I like to think about this because people thought like, oh, this country would be so much more progressive under a Biden administration. That's how they were gearing it up. And I stupidly believed that for a minute, for like a second. I was in the first year of my political, you know, ideological revolution, and I stupidly thought, oh, you know, yeah, Joe will be a little bit more understanding and all that. Since he's taken office, he has not packed the courts. He has not gotten rid of the Postmaster General, which if he really wanted to, he could. Dude, Trump, on his first day as the second term as president, how much you want to bet he's going to fire the Postmaster General because he knows he just can. He just fucking can. Dude, he could send the military in there to force the Postmaster General out and replace him. No one's going to even do anything to him. No one's going to bat an eye. He's just going to do it just to show that he can do it. You know, Joe Biden could do so much. He is so ambivalent. Or he could be. And he chooses not to be. Everybody's like, oh, under a Trump president, we're under threat of this, this, and that. And it's like, but then they get to Biden, they're like, oh, but Biden can't do anything without the approval of Congress. Or, oh, but like Biden has his hands tied. He can't do anything. He's powerless. Biden hasn't packed the courts. Biden hasn't gotten through any universal health care plan. You know, he's barely done anything in regards to renewable energy, to anything that fights climate change. He got us back into the Paris thing. He never even bothered to rebuild the Iran nuclear deal. Never even bothered. We wouldn't have such a rough relationship with Iran right now if he had negotiated with Iran and rebuilt the nuclear deal. That was a good deal. One of the few dubs from the Obama administration. One of the few. Yeah, he hasn't packed the courts. He never codified Roe v. Wade. Still hasn't. The Democrats have still absolutely abysmally failed to codify Roe v. Wade. Everything he promised in his 2020 campaign. What has panned out from all of that? What has he done? The only thing I've really been in support of him doing was pulling out of Afghanistan, and that's like the point in his presidency that turned the tides. He's never had an approval rating higher than it was the day before he pulled out of Afghanistan. I mean, his approval rating has tanked ever since, and yet that's like a point in his presidency that I thought was great, But, yeah, he fixed COVID with a vaccine that Trump's administration sped up. So there's that, I guess. It's just continuing the work that the Trump administration was already doing. To be fair, he made it free, which I don't know if the Trump admin would have done that. But Biden was smart enough to order someone to make that shit free. I swear there's a mosquito in here. Because I can, feel it touching me. And biting my skin. But yeah, the Biden presidency so far has been an absolute disappointment to people like me. People like me that are a little bit farther left than, a far left Democrat. I think I'm just feeling shit because it's late and I need to go to bed. But I just felt it on my leg. But, people like me who are farther left than the Overton window and definitely have a bit more radical views than the average Democrat. We're disappointed in this administration. Makes it hard to vote for him with all the Gaza stuff going on. It makes it hard to vote for him because he didn't really do anything during his entire presidency. He appointed a Supreme Court judge, and it was a black woman. He said he was going to do that. Wow. Congrats. It's like, what else have you done that's actually made any meaningful change? No one in that federal government's legalized marijuana or decriminalized it. So I don't think we have an assault weapons ban anymore. Or something I don't know if we ever renewed that. I don't know, there's just a lot of stuff going on that makes it really hard to vote for Biden again. But the alternative's Trump, and it's like Trump basically knows he can get away with doing whatever he wants. So he gets away with whatever the fuck he wants. Anyways, alright. I'm gonna leave. What? Oh god. Oh yeah, that cop that shot that airman. Yeah, the details of that are insane. He never raised the gun, and the cop still shot him. The cop never announced himself, never made himself present, or obvious that he was a cop. He even got the wrong apartment, or she, I don't know. They even got the wrong apartment. and he thought someone was trying to break in, so he grabbed a pistol. He opens the door. He hasn't even raised the pistol, and the cop immediately raises their gun and kills him. Airman, by the way. Senior airman. Yeah. Second Amendment enjoyers be like, he shouldn't have had a gun on him then. If he was white, you'd be singing a different tune. Let's just say that. Even him being in the military doesn't save him from these racist-ass fucking shitbags from blaming him somehow. Alright, let me end the episode before I have an absolute stroke, aneurysm, and diarrhea sesh all in one go. Alright, thanks for watching. You can listen to us on Spotify. You can follow on Patreon. We're also on like Apple Podcasts, I guess, and YouTube Music if you want the audio-less listening experience. But yeah, go support us on Patreon. And yeah, thanks for watching. And I'll be back hopefully next week. Adios.